Hello everyone, thank you for watching the video, sorry for the delay to update the second part of this 3-part video series, and thank you very much for your support. Now let's get started. Iwaizumi is lying on his bed thinking. A few weeks have passed since Oikawa threw the door in his face. For a moment, Iwaizumi thought that from then on things would be different, that Oikawa would not forgive him for that and that everything would be awkward. But in the end, his best friend simply decided to act as if it never happened, and maybe that's even worse. When Oikawa withdraws into himself like that, when he pretends that everything is fine, it means that the pain must be virtually uncontrollable, and the hardest thing to accept is the fact that he himself is causing that to the person he loves the most. Why I'm doing this to myself? Why I'm acting like a complete fool? Iwaizumi himself doesn't understand why he has done things that way. He knows that Oikawa feels the same way. Is it because of the distance? Is it because Oikawa is leaving for Argentina? No. Iwaizumi knows it's not that. Then why? Being more than friends with him would be a natural outcome, but it involves breaking so many patterns that his parents have imposed on him that he feels they crush him. Not that his family is homophobic, but they are. Not out loud, but the message is implicit. Is he going to let his reputation with his parents outweigh his desires? Well, they are his parents, and besides, he, until a few months ago, only liked girls. It's not just changing the chip overnight. Even if he already had feelings for Oikawa before, he had never contemplated doing couple things like kissing and touching. ... Stick to the list, don't buy unnecessary stuff. Oikawa reminisces his mother's words as he buys unnecessary stuff. He just saw the lotion he had been wanting to use at 30% off and wasn't about to miss the opportunity. 2 chocolate bars because he needs some sugar to improve his mood, and a box of cookies that he plans to take to Iwaizumi's house when he sleeps over to help him study. He is usually the one who does the shopping. He doesn't really mind doing them. It is an opportunity he takes to stretch his legs a bit and take his mind off the stress of graduation. He hasn't told anyone, but he hasn't slept well for 2 weeks, hatching a diabolical plan that could radically change his life. Not that he's afraid of the risk. But it does scare him. Even for him it's crazy what he's about to do, but he's already made up his mind that he has to do it if he wants to get any closer to his dream. Do you need anything else? Asks the girl at the counter. She makes tender little eyes at him and stretches her lips a little, so that they look fleshy. No, that's fine, thank you, he says as he smiles and winks at her, then starts walking away carrying the shopping bags. The girl looks a little disappointed. She's cute, has long, shiny auburn black hair and a round, tender face. If he wasn't feeling emotionally overloaded, he probably would have invited her to something. He pauses for a second as the automatic doors close behind him. Well, if distraction was what he wanted, going out with a cute girl might have worked. He grimaces as he hesitates. Should he go back? Nah, definitely not. He begins his walk home. Going out with someone would mean he has to spend money he's saving. Besides, going out when and at what time? If it's 5 p.m. and he promised to get to Iwaizumi's house by 7. So he only has time to get to his own house, put away the groceries, take a particularly long bath and leave. It's going to take him at least 15 minutes to get home on foot. He has chosen a distant store so he can walk longer. He is thinking that besides the money, dating is a staging that can be very tiring if the person he is dating does not awaken in him some spark of emotion. Awkward silences make him despair even when he pretends it doesn't affect him. He winces when he feels his cell phone vibrate in his sweatshirt pocket, assumes it's his mom, and doesn't bother to answer it. She's probably angry that she told him not to be late, but he couldn't resist the temptation. He continues on his way and crosses the street when it's at a stop sign. He glances at some TVs in a store window and sees a volleyball game going on somewhere in Japan. It's a well-known league team. He knows he can't stay watching for long, so he pulls up stakes and breaks away from the display case. He decides that when he gets home, he will watch the game online. ... It's 8 o'clock, I thought you wouldn't come. Iwaizumi is lying on his bed. He has the console controller in his hands and seems to be playing Call of Duty. Nothing better than video games to improve your concentration skills, Iwa-chan. He enters the room and the first thing he thinks is that it smells like him. What a dull thought. You said you would come at 7, even my mom saved food for you. Iwaizumi continues, not noticing Oikawa's comment. He doesn't seem angry, but there is reproach in his voice. Oikawa shrugs his shoulders. My mom got hysterical because I was late shopping. She made a very unpleasant demand that I return a cologne that she knows perfectly well I need. So I had to put up with it until she let me keep it. He sits next to Iwaizumi on the bed, who is wearing a nightgown and shorts. And you were waiting for me dressed like this. Oikawa has to hold back the urge to laugh. Besides Iwa-chan, you could have cleaned your room a bit, it smells like you, and believe me that's not exactly a compliment. Now it's Iwaizumi's turn to shrug as he resumes the game. You are an idiot. So many years of friendship and now you're going to complain. Oikawa's smile widens. You don't have any charm, Iwa-chan. He tells him in the middle of an exhalation too pronounced to be natural. Ha. Whatever. I brought cookies. He quickly comments, trying to change the subject, after noticing that Iwaizumi has started to lose patience. They're your favorite. He holds them out to Iwaizumi, who takes them while looking at him suspiciously. Thank you. He finally says. And also thank you for coming to help me study. You're welcome, Iwa-chan. Now let's get started. I doubt your 8 brain will understand quickly and there's a lot to learn. ... Don't go to bed so late. And Toru, honey, if you want, I can warm up your food before I go to bed. No thanks, answers Oikawa with a smile. If anything, Iwa-chan will do it, right Iwa-chan? He asks, looking at him directly in the eyes. Iwaizumi feels like giving him a good punch. Relax, mom, Oikawa has legs, when the time comes, he'll use them. The woman makes a face that Iwaizumi knows means, it's a visit, don't be so rude, and then disappears down the corridor towards her room. Probably to watch one of those TV show programs that make you cry and not want to get up for weeks of the bed. Not that he has seen them, of course, but his mom has already gone through several existential crises because of them. They go back to their work and continue with the study. In the end he has ended up organizing the room, not because Oikawa told him to do it, of course not, but because he had planned to do it himself. Critical reading is easy if you know how to read between the lines, you know. It's the subtle art of capturing the essence of the text in your brain and interpreting. He's not bad at it, although he's not great at it either. However, he has to study harder than usual because if he loses the final exam, he'll have to go to the extra exams. It's his own fault. After talking to the academic coordinator, who gave him bad news about his college application, he decided to skip a class that just had a test and a workshop. His teacher very kindly sent him to hell when he tried to make up those grades, so now he has 2 beautiful zeros that he will have to overcome with a good final exam. Iwa-chan, are you listening to me? Of course I am, you idiot. Let's see, what was the last thing I said? Iwaizumi thinks for a few seconds. His brain making a futile effort to remember some words that he obviously didn't hear, because obviously he wasn't paying attention. Iwaizumi.x has stopped working. You see, you weren't listening. I've been talking like an idiot for 2 hours while you think about God knows what. Just shut up and leave me alone. Iwaizumi replied. What are you thinking, Iwa-chan? Is she more important than me? Oikawa's look is playful, but there is something underneath his eyes, something that makes Iwaizumi want to do anything to change it. Then why? Just stop. And he gives him a look that he hopes Oikawa understands as don't you dare. They remain silent for a few seconds, challenging each other with their eyes. But Iwaizumi knows he already lost, because Oikawa means the world to him, and that's why he didn't go to that date he had with that girl he didn't care. That's why he wrote to her and tell her he already loves someone else. But he's been a coward. He just hasn't been able to tell Oikawa, let it all out. His love and his regrets. A huge coward, indeed. You're going to overcome your confusion and make it, you know. Oikawa tells him. The smile hasn't disappeared from his face. What? The test, you're going to pass. Oikawa tells, clarifying with a serious gaze. It reminds Iwaizumi of the expression he usually wears when he is about to serve. Well, there is no other option. He replies. He decides to break eye contact while lying face up on the floor where they are sitting. Suddenly feeling his heart beating like crazy. It's doing it and succeeding or die. Oikawa lies down on the floor next to him. I'm surprised you're just now realizing it, Iwa-chan. It's always been like that. ... Give me that. Iwaizumi says when he has reached the kitchen and has seen Oikawa fighting with the stove. I'll do it. Oikawa doesn't reply anything, moves away from the stove and sits down at the table. He finally got hungry and decided to go heat up his food. They both share the silence. Although they have had a little disagreement in the room, the silence is not uncomfortable. Sorry for throwing the book at you. Iwaizumi begins hurriedly as he utters words he's not used to say. I was thinking about how stupid I was for skipping a class with that teacher knowing what she's like. I think I'm more nervous than I'd like to admit. He actually feels guilty. Even he himself is able to admit that he's overdone it. After an hour of studying, the two of them got into an argument again. Iwaizumi doesn't know what exactly caused the fight to start, but in the end he's ended up throwing a book at him which Oikawa wasn't expecting and now has one side of his face with a marked flap. Oikawa snorts. It doesn't matter, Iwa-chan. It does matter. I told you it doesn't matter. I think it's my fault. I'm stressed about something and I'm taking it out on you. Iwaizumi lowers the intensity of the flame and leaves the frying pan on it while heating up the food. Everything would be easier if the microwave hadn't been damaged. But that's life. Things work until they don't anymore. He sits down at the table and looks Oikawa in the eye. Do you want to talk about it? Oikawa shakes his head. Well, you know you can count on me anyway, right? Oikawa nods his head. I don't think I should have skipped dinner. My stomach hurts from hunger. He slumps down on the table as his guts growl. Iwaizumi laughs a little at the sight of him. I just put it to heat. You'll have to wait at least 10 minutes. In the microwave it would be faster, but you have a terrible luck because it was damaged last week. Iwa-chan, I know that already. Do you really have to torture me even now? The smile on Iwaizumi's face widens. It's always a good time, isn't it? Oikawa rolls his eyes so hard, they look like they're going to get out of his head. If you wasn't a mean man and had shared some of your cookies with me, we wouldn't have to go through this whole process. He whines. It's good to have him as a best friend. Oikawa is a sensational guy. Not only is he determined, but he has a will armored in steel. Even if he doesn't always has a good attitude, he never quits and never go back on his word. He's devious in his own way, but he's undeniably awesome. Iwaizumi feels privileged to be able to see him in this very personal way, facets that no one else knows about. The cookies are not food you should be eating so often. Iwaizumi clarifies, who more than anything, preferred to keep the cookies away from Oikawa, because he knows that if he opens the package, his friend will eat them all. Anyone would think that someone like you takes better care of his body and his health. Oikawa snorts again. You're always annoying, Iwa-chan, but when you go all mama hen you're unbearable. He remains slumped over the table, an act of theatrics that Iwaizumi is used to witnessing. He knows Oikawa is looking to arouse some kind of pity in him. Wash the plate you're going to use. Come on, he says when he feels that the food should be at least lukewarm. You're not even going to offer me the full service. Oikawa complains, but gets up and takes the plate from the counter and rinses it. He has an efficient way of doing it. I already washed it. Are you happy? You're just overexploiting me because I'm better looking than you. Yeah, right. Better looking and a bigger idiot. He stands up and takes Oikawa's plate as he turns off the stove. He starts serving and notices Oikawa's longing gaze over the food. Sometimes you are like a child, you know that. He says, somewhat feeling uncomfortable at that gaze. A big boy with delusions of greatness. Surprisingly, Oikawa doesn't respond at all. He just shrugs his shoulders. Maybe. He receives the plate and then sits at the table just to start eating like crazy. With useless pride, he continues in almost a whisper, more to himself than to Iwaizumi. A deranged smile forms on his face. There are times when Iwaizumi wishes he knew what was going through his friend's mind. Oikawa. It's delicious. He interrupts, avoiding the question. Surely guided by that sixth sense that warns him about potentially awkward conversations that Iwaizumi sometimes wants to engage him in. I've always wanted to catch your mom cooking. I could learn good things from her. But whenever I arrive, the food is already done. It's just that she prefers to keep her recipes a secret. Him okay. Iwaizumi contemplates Oikawa as he eats. He looks at his lips now glossy with grease and wonders if he might enjoy kissing them. Wait. What? Iwa-chan, there's something I want to show you. Oikawa begins with his mouth full. Iwaizumi grimaces. partly grateful for being able to feel disgusted. First finish eating and then we talk. I thought you were the polite gentleman who puts on a melodrama when etiquette protocols weren't followed. Yeah, normally, but now I'm with you. What the hell does that mean? Oikawa rolls his eyes. That I trust you, obviously, I don't mind you seeing me like that, because we've seen enough embarrassing things from each other, haven't we? Besides, who was the one who said he didn't mind the room smelling like sweat? Fuck you, he retort, but they both end up laughing. And is there, surrounded by the smell of food and laughing, that Iwaizumi realize, there's no other place he would like to be. Maybe it wasn't Argentina and the distance, or his parents and their beliefs. Maybe it's just him and his insecurities. A mental wall he created because it was easier. An idea pops up in his head. Oikawa keeps eating and Iwaizumi thinks on a way to untangle his heart and confess his feelings to his best friend. I really want to apologize for the delay. It's been difficult for me because of college. Thanks you all for keep watching. I really want to create stories you can enjoy. If there is any suggestion about topics for videos, or recommendations for improving, I'll be happy to read you in the comments section below. Please subscribe, share it and like it.